For eons, Earth was a forgotten corner of the universe. A speck in the vast ocean of stars, barely a blip on the radar of the Galactic Accord, a powerful coalition of the galaxy's most advanced species. Humans were classified as a primitive, war-torn species, their civilization on the brink of technological breakthrough yet still bound by the emotional instincts that had plagued their history. The galaxy had dismissed them, relegating Earth to the status of a backwater planet, not even worth the attention of the Council's most enlightened minds. But the galaxy was about to make a mistake, one that it would never forget. The transmission came from Earth. Simple. Unencrypted. A burst of static that carried a tone, a frequency resonating with something deep within the fabric of the cosmos. A message, a warning, but it was not a cry for help. We are awake. Stay away. At first, the Galactic Council laughed. They assumed it was a glitch. A simple, meaningless transmission from a primitive species. The Zarnathi and the Vine, both major powers, dismissed it outright. Earth had no interstellar fleets, no quantum computing systems, no AI governance. It was still tethered to its planet, struggling to reach the stars. What harm could they possibly pose? But that assumption was about to be shattered. 3 days after the signal, the first proof of Earth's awakening appeared. The Zarnathi recon ship, a pinnacle of the Council's technological supremacy, was found drifting aimlessly near Saturn's rings. No distress signal. No survivors. Only a message carved into the hull of the ship: you shouldn't have come. The message spread like wildfire. Fear spread, too. Whispers began in hushed tones. Ancient records, long ignored, began surfacing. Species that had once encountered humanity's ancient predecessors spoke of the sleeping beasts, creatures from a time before the stars. A race that had once burned entire worlds in the blink of an eye, only to vanish, without a trace. Now, the galaxy was beginning to realize that humanity wasn't as it seemed. Back on Earth, humanity's past was beginning to stir in ways no one had expected. In deep bunkers hidden beneath oceans and ice caps, long-forgotten programs, the kind that were designed to protect Earth from itself, began reactivating. A clandestine military AI called Judgment Protocol was the first to stir. It had been dormant for nearly 1,000 years, waiting for this moment. But this was not an AI designed to wage war. Its task was simpler: it was programmed to remember. And as Judgment Protocol woke, so did the dark history of Earth. The protocol dug deep into the archives of humanity's hidden past, a past erased from collective memory. Earth had never been just a peaceful planet. For centuries, humanity had waged wars that were lost to time. Weapons that manipulated thought, soldiers bred for rage, not loyalty. Humanity had caged its dark side, hidden it deep beneath the surface. But now, the cage was opening. And in the stars, the galaxy was watching, unprepared for what was coming. The Galactic Accord convened an emergency meeting. The ambassadors from the most powerful species argued over what to do. The ambassador from the Salith, a species known for their vast fleets and unmatched weaponry, accused the humans of violating the peace code. Humanity's envoy, a calm man with sharp eyes, stood unmoved before the accusation. No law was broken, he said. You came. We didn't invite you. The room erupted in anger. One ambassador, unable to control his emotions, drew a plasma blade, and before anyone could react, he lunged at the human envoy. But the man did not flinch. In an instant, the station fell into complete darkness. Every AI-driven system, every camera, every drone, even the Starship traffic control systems, were frozen in place. The blackout lasted exactly 10 seconds. When the lights came back on, the ambassador from the Salith was gone. No body. No trace. Nothing. He had simply disappeared. The room fell silent. The human stood there, his watch glowing in the dim light. We don't need fleets, he said softly. We are the storm. Panic spread across the galaxy. The galactic leaders scrambled to respond, but the fear was palpable. Something had awakened on Earth. Something that hadn't been seen in millennia. And it wasn't just judgment protocol. In the Mojave Desert, deep beneath the Black Echo facility, something else was stirring. The Neural Shadow Integration Project, a top-secret military experiment from humanity's earliest days in space, had created sentient weapons, beings who could live outside the boundaries of time and space. K9 was the first of these beings to awaken. She had once been human, but no longer. Now, she was something more. She was a being of pure thought, a weapon forged from humanity's rage, grief, and violence. She had been buried, sealed away in stasis chambers after the last Great War, but now the seal was breaking. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The Galactic Accord, still in chaos after the mysterious disappearance of the Salith ambassador, tried to regroup. Their response was swift. 77 dreadnoughts, 2,000 assault crafts, fully manned and armed, set course for Earth. No more diplomacy. No more appeasement. It was time to make a point. But as they entered Earth's orbit, they found something that defied all their expectations. A pulse. Undetectable by traditional scanners, silent, invisible, yet powerful enough to shut down every system in the Saloth fleet. The dreadnoughts, the pride of the Saloth Empire, stopped in their tracks. Their engines failed. Their weapon systems went dark. And in the span of moments, they were left floating helplessly in space. And then, from above Earth's stratosphere, black streaks emerged from the clouds. They weren't ships. They were something more. Silent. Deadly. Without exhaust or sound. They hovered around the disabled fleet, inspecting it. One of them moved toward the Saloth flagship. Inside, the crew was in full panic. The ship's communication systems were down. The windows began to darken as something inside the ship began to break. And then, the crew began to scream. Their minds were being invaded, memories torn apart, regrets and pain twisted into something worse than death. 2 hours later, the fleet returned to Saloth space, intact, but every crew member rendered brain dead. Not a single mark on their bodies. Just empty shells. The galaxy was now fully aware of humanity's power. It was not in their technology. It was in their memories. Their emotions. Their rage. Earth had never lost its strength. It had only buried it. And now, Earth was no longer silent. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't in its ships, its weapons, or its AIs. It was in the raw, primal power of its emotions. Earth had never needed to evolve past its violence. It had only learned to cage it. And now, the galaxy would learn what had been locked away for so long. The first strike had been delivered. But this wasn't a war. This wasn't an invasion. This was the awakening of something much larger. Humanity wasn't here to conquer the galaxy. It was here to remember. And in remembering, it would awaken the greatest power the universe had ever known. On Earth, the moon cracked open. Not violently. Not with a cataclysmic roar. But with grace. Light poured out from its core. The architect had returned. The first human, the progenitor of all that humanity had been. He stood at the center of the storm, not a conqueror, but a creator. And the galaxy watched as the first and final pieces of humanity were brought together. The ancient memories, the raw emotions, the violence, and the peace, everything humanity had once forgotten, was now reawakening. Earth wasn't just a planet anymore. It was a living memory. A storm waiting to return to its rightful place. As the architect stood in the heart of Earth, the galaxy paused. Every species, every empire, every civilization that had once laughed at Earth's weakness now understood. Earth was the origin. And now, the galaxy would bow to its power. One signal had been enough. Humanity's true legacy was not in its weapons. It was in its ability to remember, to reconnect with the past, and to wield the power of its emotions. The architect had awakened. The galaxy had no choice but to remember. In the end, Earth didn't conquer the galaxy. It simply reminded it of its origins. The stars dimmed, not in fear, but in reverence. The universe had been created by humanity, and now, Earth was ready to take its rightful place. "We are awake," the architect said. And this time, the galaxy listened.